Hey guys, welcome back to CI7 Round 3 Lower Bracket. As with all Round 3 matches and lower bracket matches, it is an elimination match, and that means one of these players, Shitrock Enjoyer, that's Fruhdazi, or Arctic, one of them's going home. And as I record this match, I have a bit of a midlife crisis when I realize that quite literally, not making fun of them the way that I sometimes do, quite literally, I am older than these two players combined. Kind of makes me feel weird and ask myself what the fuck I'm doing still playing Pokemon. But that'll be a story for another day. In the meantime, we've got games to narrate. This is the first CI for Fruhdazi, who won his first match but then lost round 2 to Sadly Cius in what was largely considered an upset. And then Arctic played last year, got in through Bruno dropping out messiness and made a run, but didn't go too deep, but didn't get smacked around either. And here he is in his second attempt, like Fruhdazi, 1-1. Arctic actually, I think, also lost to Sadly Cius. I didn't realize that either. So these are two players that Sadly has beaten, now squaring off against each other. Man, the things we learn when we pay attention. I didn't realize that until now, but now I know. Either way, tournament over right here for one of these two gentlemen, and the other shall continue on in the lower bracket. Is it Fruhdazi? Is it Arctic? Let's find out together. Here's game one. Shitrock Enjoyer, like I said, is Fruhdazi, and he's on the bottom. Arctic is on the top. We have got a Salamence and a Fori lead. Fori should be immediately threatened by the possibility of a fire attack, and indeed he plays around that and switches to Suicune, and Fruhdazi switched as well. Gonna get out of the way. Usually Bulky Water beats T-Tar in the early going, so not going to play that game. And Calm Mind happens on the switch as he goes to his handy-dandy Skarmory that Fruhdazi is a big fan of. Surf and Roar, respectively, and that's going to show a new Pokemon, Aerodactyl. Don't know if that's going to deter him from spiking or not. Certainly the flinch possibility is pretty obnoxious. And indeed, he's not comfortable with it, and he gets out of the way, goes to Swampert, resisting what he anticipated to be a Rock Slide. So Hydro Pump cooperates with its 80-20, and Fori gets a Spike off. See if he goes for it again. Going to be Celebi, who doesn't care whether it's Hydro Pump or Earthquake. And it is Hydro Pump again, and it does connect again, but it does just 15%. Now Arrow's in. And it's going to get Leech Seeded, which is annoying, but not the end of the world. Celebi probably gets out of the way nevertheless, even though it's very healthy here. HP Bug would be a big issue. And he does switch. So Jirachi comes in, but Fruhdazi switched as well, and we end up with Skarm. Fire Punch, super effective, 34%. Doesn't find the burn, though. And finally, Fruhdazi gets a lair of his own. But Fruhdazi not a big Gengar guy, and probably if the Fori does try to Rapid Spin sometime later, it'll be successful in doing so, most likely. Fire Punch there, again, fishing 20% burn, doesn't get it. Damage not exciting on Tar, gives up on burning it, decides instead to poison it, and that Toxic is going to connect, as does the 100% accurate EQ. Rachi here probably going to protect. Indeed. And Earthquake comes down again. So we've got a damage roll situation. Last EQ did 55. It's now at 57. It probably survives and goes for Wish here. Oh yeah, much less this time. Just 50%. And nothing preventing Jirachi this time from going for Protect, eating its own Wish, and becoming healthy. In the meantime, the Tar sits there and is suffering from the poison. It's a good one-on-one for Arctic at the moment. And indeed, Fruhdazi gives up on it and retreats to his lead Mence on the obvious Protect turn. Protect again, see what you're cooking, and he's cooking Fire Blast. As it turns out, that would have missed anyway, but he had no way of knowing that, and it's certainly indicating that it is some kind of mixed Mence. This Fire Blast is going to be on the money for 57%, but it's the same loop as before. He'll gain lefties, click Wish, and he's going to go for Protect and gain more lefties and eat his own Wish and be totally healthy again, up into the 80s. He's going to Dragon Claw here to not waste the valuable and limited Fire Blast PP, of which he only has 8 at the beginning of the battle. Fire Blast again, This is never going to be enough to get it done unless he manages to find a crit or a burn. And from Arctic's end, he's doing the right thing, simply trying to stall it out. Very good chance that he does indeed run his opponent out of Fire Blast before it ever kills him. So from Arctic's end, keep doing what you're doing, and we'll see if Fruhdazi continues doing this or at some point gives up. But he's gone through half his blasts already, and here's Suicune trying to make him use 2 of them here. Yeah, he's going to be successful. The pressure ability there makes that cost 2 PP, and just like that, the Mence is down to only 2 Fire Blasts. Now it's Dragon Claw, 31%. Ice Beam, well, no more Salamence. That is our first knockout of the match, and it goes the way of Arctic. 6-5 lead for him. Celebi comes in. Kun we know has Ice Beam, but he gets out of the way anyway. Doesn't want to eat a grass attack here, and that is for the best. It is, in fact, Giga Drain. Last poke still unrevealed for Arctic. Probably just Pursuit Tar. Makes perfect sense for the rest of the team. All of these things, Fori, Suicune, that set of Jirachi, they all really want Gengar gone. Pursuitar seems like an underwhelming poke for me into Fruhdazi in particular because he's not a Gengar fan, but it is kind of obligatory to partner with Fori, so I guess if you're going to bring this squad, fair enough, even though the Mon does not excite me. Hidden Power and Hidden Power, but one of these things not like the other. One of them is fire, one of them is grass. And in this matchup, obviously, you want to be spitting fire. Aerodactyl comes in on the recover. To the shock of no one, there is a T-Tar in the back. And Earthquake there is a good prediction for Fruhdazi. Gets him for 66% and is going to force Arctic. Just kidding. Is not going to force Arctic out. He's going to let it go. So just like that, 5-5. And he does not follow up with his own arrow. He goes for Fori instead. Maybe he thinks Rapid Spin is worth eating an EQ for. And he does. He deems that worthwhile. So the spike is gone. He does have a largely grounded, 5 out of 6 grounded team. So I can understand why he would want to do that. And here comes Celebi, who of course is going to resist Earthquake. We'll see if Arctic takes this opportunity to double switch, since Aerodactyl's obviously not switching in. He does not. He simply clicks Leech Seed. And he gets the Scarm in doing so, sapping it down to 24%. Fori coming in at this point. And Spike's not re-established, because I think the Fori switch was fairly obvious, and it would just Rapid Spin any Spikes that come down immediately away. So Fori gets his lefties, and out of the way he goes. Obviously doesn't want to get hit with a Hidden Power Fire that he's 4x weak to. Jirachi takes it instead, only regular weak to it. And just bulkier than Fori as a whole. Takes 32%. Gonna protect, get some lefties back. And it's gonna blink Leech Seed, but any move obviously would not have gone through the protect there. See how Rachi wants to proceed. Might be Wish to be safe. I would probably Wish here, but you could fling Toxic at it, I suppose. Instead, he goes to his own Celebi and blanks another Leech Seed. But I don't know how that really solves it, because the other guy's got HP Fire and you don't. So what's the plan? The plan is to fling HP Grass at him. That's what the damn plan is. Take 11%, you onion-looking bitch, says Arctic. And in comes Scarm. Double switch to Rachi, sure. 65%. We know it's got Fire Punch. Might as well click it here. T-Tizzle. Nope, it's going to be Wish. Fair enough. Let's see who needs that. I know that Fori does at 40%. Celebi would take it. Suicune would take it. Just about anybody would take it. But Jirachi is a selfish jerk. Not going to share. Gonna keep it for himself. Makes sense though. Gets up to 100%. Poison damage still trickling on the T-Tar there. Here comes Wish again. And Earthquake 49%. Fair enough, but this is the same issue as before. Nothing preventing Protect from happening, Wish from kicking in, and more poison damage from trickling down. And even though it is very tempting to Fire Punch or Toxic on a predicted switch there, Arctic does make the conservative play and protects, and he's thankful that he does because T-Tar did stay in and try to push the issue here. And he's going to do it yet again. Arctic must have anticipated that he would finally switch on that turn, but he didn't. Toxic takes him out, but Fori gets some meaningful chip on him, and even after Lefty stays in the red. Nevertheless, Arctic with the on-paper lead right now, and he establishes a second layer that Fruhdazi can't remove, though only 2 of his living pokes are grounded and care about the spikes. And he's not going to give it up. Drill Peck here is not going to do it. It's going to do just 7%, barely negating leftovers for Jirachi, who can again just free Fire Punch here if he so chooses. And that's going to be the play. Doesn't find the burn, but he does manage to put significant damage on the Skarm. However, a spike comes down that Arctic is not going to be able to remove because the Fori, when it comes in on that spike, will die. So 2 layers each that they both are going to have to deal with here, and I don't know what the point of Wish is here. He's not going to be able to pass it to anything. He's just going to take out the Skarm. I think the Wish might have been a minor mistake there for Arctic. He basically just let his opponent get an additional layer of spikes that he didn't need to have. I think Arctic was supposed to just attack there. But regardless, not what he did, and we end up in this situation yet again with Jirachi trying to stall something out. He lands Toxic on Pert, eats an EQ, and we are back to this grind. Protect, and with my ESP, I will predict... Oh, just kidding. I was going to predict that next turn he will definitely Wish, and I thought I was being kind of a smartass because I thought it was so obvious, but he might not Wish anymore because now +1 EQ is a real issue. He anticipates the Celebi, however, and goes for Ice Beam. Doesn't kill because his Ice Beam is probably uninvested and pretty underwhelming against a bulky Celebi, but he manages to land a Freeze, which is rather unfortunate for Arctic. But he thaws, actually, and he gets him with HP Grass. Good thing Pert didn't stay. It would be insta-dead. That being said, Celebi is now dead as well. Whether it stays in and dies, which is what happens, or it switches out and comes back in on spikes, either one would result in his death unless he had dodged the Rock Slide there, which, as we see, did not occur. So Arctic now with a 4-3 lead. A little less than it was before, but still reasonable shape. And now Wish coming down for Jirachi. It's going to matter a lot if this is a Protect or a Rest variant of Curse Pert. If it's Rest, it actually could be a bit of an issue for Arctic. But if it's Protect, then that Toxic is absolutely deadly, and he probably can manage to stall him out until the Toxic takes him down. He's going to go for Wish again. EQ, finally, a crit on Jirachi that he's had many opportunities for throughout the game. When you play that game, you beg for it to come. Eventually it does. Rachi down, and we've got ourselves a tie ball game 3-3. Fori going to come in. That's nice use of fodder for Arctic. That's going to get additional toxic damage on the Suicune, on the Swampert, and it's going to pass the Wish to the Suicune. Both of which very good if you are an Arctic fan. We've got ourselves a close one here. He's going to Ice Beam there as well, just in case Celebi had come in. So we've got ourselves a 2-2. It's close. We know the Celebi has Giga Drain here, but that would not kill Aerodactyl. Giga Drain, big damage on the Suicune, certainly. Gonna get half of that back as well, and that's a big Ice Beam, too. This is looking like it might come down to an Aerodactyl speed tie. I believe that is going to be the ending here. Goes to Aero. Eats Giga Drain. Who cares? Yeah. Now it's just you click Rock Slide, and it comes down to an Aero on Aero speed tie. Alrighty. Flip a coin. We've seen another one of these in play-ins, I believe. Heads or tails? Fruhdazi's the one who gets there, but Aerodactyl speed tie, not the ideal way to win any given game. Arctic can dodge Rock Slide and kill him with Surf here, but if he doesn't dodge it, game 1 to Fruhdazi. And indeed, the Coon is not nimble enough to get out of the way. Crucial speed tie goes the way of Fruhdazi, and it gives him the game 1 victory. Certainly among the crappiest ways to lose in ADV, and one of the most unfortunate inherent parts of the tier is the Aerodactyl speed tie. It doesn't come up too often, but it comes up more than once in a blue moon. It's the second time already in this edition of CALLOUS Invitational, and it's lame because there's just no skill involved. Once you're in that position, you just you cross your fingers and you hope that yours is faster in that moment. And like I said, in this moment, Fruhdazi gets there when he needs to. It was even more ironic in the last Aerodactyl speed tie because both players missed initially in the Lax versus Sadly Cius set. It was an incredible ending. But then, obviously, Sadly Cius, the man who won that tiebreaker, and yeah, and look where he is now. It's quite the snowball effect. What would have happened if Lax had won the speed tie, or if Lax had connected with his rock slide when Sadly missed? What would have happened? Totally different timeline, totally different history. Wild, right? Yeah, so that is where we are right now, and we are going into Game 2. But, as usual, I'll give you my quickie donations feel in between games. We need donations. The tour runs on donations. The funding is entirely via donation. You can donate if you've been enjoying this. I'd super duper appreciate it. Doesn't have to be a lot. $5, $10, whatever you can afford. It all really adds up. I'm not profiting from this tour. In fact, I'm losing money hosting this tour. But I'm not keeping any of the money that you're donating. It all goes, other than the small amount that PayPal takes, into the player pool, and it gets distributed at the end among the top 3. So if you are able to contribute, it is via PayPal donation link in my Discord server. It's fast, like really fast. You can do it in under 20 seconds. It's secure, like I said, PayPal, not some sketchy third-party site. And if you want credit, you'll get it both in the Discord server and in the end of the tournament video. Or if you want to remain anonymous and private, that's fine. I'll respect that. You can be anonymous. But we're trying to beat last year's prize pool, try to get to 2,600, and if we can get even higher than that, that's a stretch goal. But bare minimum, I want to beat last year. Let's see if we can get to 2,600. That would be much appreciated. So if you've been enjoying the show, if you find this entertaining, if you have some sympathy for the amount of time and effort that I and others have to put in to make this happen, please consider showing your appreciation in the form of donation. Thank you for considering. So, Game 2, we saw Shitrock Enjoyer, Fruhdazi, win Game 1, and we saw Arctic lose Game 1 via an Aerodactyl speed tie. So Arctic now needs to win Game 2 and a theoretical Game 3, or he's going to be eliminated, and Fruhdazi is going to have 2 chances to close him out. Here's Game 2. Fruhdazi, like I said, is Shitrock Enjoyer. He's on the bottom, and it's going to be Arctic on the top. So we'll keep those positions for continuity. They're both going to lead T-Tar, and Arctic is going to start things off by missing Toxic and being critically hit by an Earthquake. Awful start. Not going to be a redo. It's a tournament. You got to play it out. But terrible start for Arctic there. The miss and the crit. Couldn't just be one or the other. Nah. When it rains, it pours. Got to be both. Terrible start for Arctic, who's already down a game. He's going to have to play very, very well and potentially get some luck as well to come back from this. And the first thing he's going to do is he's going to activate his de facto Spiker. He's going to mimic the Skarmory with Swampert, learn spikes, and begin spiking up himself. This is a cute tech. You may have actually seen it before on my channel. We actually used Mimic Donphan in the Emerald Open in one of the very early rounds. And I don't know if Arctic was inspired by that or came up with it on his own or whatever. I certainly did not invent Mimic, but it's not seen very often. And yeah, he's going to get creative, and he's going to go for that here. So 2 layers of spikes each. Something that I know about Fruhdazi as a builder is that he cheats quite a bit on spinners. He does not carry spinners very often. Would not surprise me if he did not have a way to remove those spikes that Arctic got down. And it's not clear whether Arctic does or not either. He does have Hidden Power Grass on Blissey, so he certainly has some surprise moves on this team. Mimic Swampert, HP Grass, Blissey. We're getting creative. He does actually have a spinner, though. Here comes Doll, and it comes in on the perfect attack. Comes in on Earthquake, exactly where you want to be. Great time to spin. Fruhdazi doesn't have a Ghost, as usual, so gonna happen. And Hidden Power Bug Retaliation for 53%. Is it worth the 53% to rapid spin away the spikes? Maybe. I don't hate that. Arctic goes to Gar now, and hey, perfect move again. Earthquake once again. Not going to do it against that Pokemon either. Interesting that he goes to Gar here, though. Maybe he's threatening Will-O-Wisp. Hidden Power Grass, sure, but what about the big Rock Slide coming back? 79% is a lot. At least T-Tar is, in fact, forced out here. It will definitely die to another Hidden Power if it stays in. Wow, Fruhdazi, for all that, actually does have a Gengar. He does not bring it very often, but he's got it this time. And it's interesting that he didn't block Rapid Spin earlier. Pulls it back to Skarm. And here comes Bliss. Fair enough. That one knockout from the critical hit turn 1 is still the only knockout 15 turns in. Spikes come down. And Flamethrower, sure, good old Flame Grass. There we go, there's some luck that Arctic needs. Certainly deserves after that really bad turn 1. He finds a 10% burn on Skarm. Toxic, put a little bit of a clock on Bliss. And she's just going to go for Soft Boiled. Why not? Skarmory is about to succumb to its burn on the following turn. Probably goes for a layer of spikes on the way out, but we'll see. And Gengar comes in seemingly for free. Not sure if I actually like that, though, because now if Fruhdazi has something like Aerodactyl or whatever, he can get that in for free and instantly force the Gar out. He goes to his own Gengar, though. And he's going to go for Will-O-Wisp, connecting with the opposing Gar. Ice Punch there. Damage and fishing for a devastating freeze. Doesn't get the freeze, but he does get him for a third. Faster Gar seems to belong to Fruhdazi here. At this point, Blissey switches in. And that's also going to be on the bad end of an Ice Punch, but it takes it way better than Gengar. Takes it for only 8%. Not a big deal. Other than Boom or Wow Taunt, shouldn't be overly threatened here. I think I'd feel safe if I'm Arctic. And he goes for Soft Boil just to play it safe, and that's actually going to end up being a mistake. Had he attacked there, I guess it specifically had to be HP Grass, he would have been able to kill the Tar, but instead he's now in this awkward position. But he does manage to avoid the flinch, even though he does have to eat the 43% Rock Slide. And Arctic, after that awful turn 1, has actually managed to take the lead. He's turned this around, or at least the on-paper lead. Some of his things, such as the Gengar, are on the beat-up side. Going to try to fodder it. And the mash is going to just be what I've been calling throughout the tour, a standard mash. Not a crit, not a raise, not a miss. Just a generic mash that hits and doesn't do anything else. So we've got ourselves a 4-4. Here comes Swampert. Celebi in on the spikes. And Doll reappears. Risky business here. You can rapid spin him away, but you might eat an HP Grass or a Giga Drain for doing so. And we know that Fruhdazi loves his offensive-leaning Celebes. But no, Arctic predicts that Gengar spot on. Psychic, and it is down. And Arctic retakes the lead, which, like I said, I'm very impressed by that, given the terrible turn 1 for him. Salamence comes in, the patented Fruhdazi Hydro Pump Mixed Ments. Not the first to use that, but someone who likes it a lot and uses it very, very often, and that quickly equalizes us at 3-3. The obvious move being Rock Slide here, and Fruhdazi stays in. He gives Arctic the credit that he is good enough there to click Earthquake, anticipating the meta, so I don't actually hate the stay in there. But Arctic does go for the obvious just attack what's in front of me play, and that is to Rock Slide against the Ments, and Arctic retakes his lead, very briefly. But Fruhdazi equalizes with an Earthquake and some help from the Sand against the Bliss. So just as it was last game, it comes down to a 2v2 involving a Celebi and involving an Aerodactyl. At least this time we won't have an Aerodactyl speed tie since there is only the one, and he gets in on Celebi, which is where you want to be. Hidden power there, whether it is flying or bug, is going to get him. And now I think Metagross probably needs to be a Gilgross, or Arctic will get it done. Hidden power, so resisted, that's HP flying. And it is a Gilgross. That is not what he wanted to see. So Aerodactyl basically useless now unless it can dodge mash, which, spoilers, we can see right now, it can't. So it's going to come down to a 1v1. One of these things not like the other. One's healthier, one's faster, one's not poisoned. Who do you favor here? One turn window for Torrent Range. Yeah, EQ. I mean, hey, whether it's Surf or Hydro Pump, it's all the same. Needed a crit there, but does not find it. The one turn window doesn't cooperate for Arctic, and Fruhdazi going to get this one as well. Close set for sure. It's going to be a 2-0 victory for Fruhdazi, but I don't know that that really does it justice. I think that both these games were very close and had some very crucial luck factors. The Aerodactyl speed tie, obviously a big luck factor. And then, yeah, and then in this game, the turn 1 was just really, really bad for Arctic. It's very hard to project 33 turns back. how everything would have gone had that not happened. There's just so many different variables and so many different things that could have happened. It's a waste of time to get into it, but you've got to wonder, had that been a more standard turn 1, the toxic hits, and it's just a non-crit EQ, what would have been different? I don't know. But these were very close, and it certainly felt like Arctic could have won either or both of these games. But that's not the way that the cookie crumbled this particular time. It is going to be a Fruhdazi 2-0 victory. He's going to continue on in the lower bracket, and Arctic is going to be out with a 1-2 record. And with that, we should be all caught up in real time. As with the previous video, at the time of this recording, which is early afternoon on Monday, the round 2 match between Roro and McMegan, Roro, who is McMegan, and Cyber Odin, has not yet played out. That's going to play out tonight, but I'm going to post these on YouTube in the order in which they should be, which is round 2 finishes, and then we move to round 3. So by the time you guys see this, everything should be normal, and we should be all caught up as long as they play when they're supposed to play. So, for all intents and purposes, we're all caught up. Hope you guys have been enjoying the tournament so far. Please do hit the like button if so. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you don't want to miss any CI action. And more important than either of those things, please consider donating to the tour if you've got the means. Alright, appreciate you guys watching. I will see you in the next video.